Tonight, we turn our attention to the war between Israel and Hamas, except we're going to look at it through the eyes of Moshe Feiglin. He's a man who aspires to be the next prime minister of Israel. Now, many of you throughout the West have no idea who he is. But for many who live in Israel, they do know the name Moshe Feiglin, and they have their own opinions about him. But tonight, we'll hear directly from Moshe Feiglin himself as he talks to me about what's happening in his homeland of Israel.
My name is Moshe Feiglin. The name is Feiglin. I'm the head of the Zehut party in Israel, who's going to run to the Knesset in the coming election. Zehut means identity. The Hebrew word for Zehut, for the English word for Zehut is identity. And I'm a writer of a few books, and I'm working a lot intellectually and politically at the same time.
Right now, Israel, as you know, is in a very difficult position. It's fighting a war for its own security and its life since October 7th. Take me back to that day, October 7th, 2023, where you were and how you responded in the wake of the atrocities that took place then.
Well, it was the holiday of Simchat Torah, so it's not a working day. And I was sitting here on my porch and drinking my coffee early in the morning, as I do every day, before I go to the synagogue to pray. And I hear from very distance the booms, like. I realized that something going on, but I assumed it's just another round of rockets that comes from Gaza. Because I don't open the radio on Shabbat and holidays, I only heard later from other people what's happening. And at that night, I was already guarding one of the outposts over here that were afraid to be left alone. And of course, I was informed of everything that's going on. And already the day after, at the 8th of October, I realized that this new concentrate Holocaust that we got here is something that cannot be respond as a regular conflict. I realized that we, the Israelis, the Jewish nation, have a challenge here that we cannot miss. And if all we'll try to do is to go back to the 6th of October, to the same concepts of the Oslo agreements that we ran the Israeli policy before, then we're simply going to lose. And we're going to lose on the most terrible way. And I'm trying to explain that since then. And let me try to explain to you, Kelly, what I mean, okay? The whole process of redemption that the Jewish nation is going through in the last 100, 150 years, that the Jews are coming back to their homeland after 2,000 years of exile, exactly as it says in our Torah, in our Bible, as it was promised by our prophets, okay? It's a process of redemption, of message of freedom under the wings of God for the entire humanity. This is what it is. That was the reason why we got the Balfour Declaration after World War I. The British Empire that ruled the whole world after World War I, that won the war, the Great War, realized that the 19th century, the Enlightenment time, the 19th century, the concept that the man can bring freedom and happiness to itself without God, okay? With the Industrial Revolution, with the concept of separation between the existence of God and the geopolitic world and so on. And we can, by ourselves, take over and bring redemption for the world, for humanity, and through the goodness of mankind and so on. All these dreams disappeared in the ashes of the Great War, in the battlefields in Europe, in poison gases, with machine guns. I mean, this industrial revolution brought only bloodshed, not life, to the world. The greatest war ever until then. And these believers in London, Lord Balfour was a very believing man, and not only him, the people around him, said to themselves, maybe when the people of Israel, when the Jews will go back to the promised land, and the voice of the prophets will be, and the language of the prophets will be heard again from the hills of Judea, a new message of peace and freedom and under the wings of God, of belief for the entire world will be radiate from Zion. That was the concept or the energies that got us the Balfour Declaration and later on the State of Israel. Unfortunately, those energy did not hold for long, and concept of and the old concepts of atheism, the old concept of socialism, of communism took over, and the Jews themselves got an inner conflict between these two concepts, the belief concept and the secular concept in the Israeli society. And we understand what is leading the Israeli politics, which concept is leading the Israeli politics and the major forces in the Israeli society. However, when that attack came at the 7th of October, I realized that the whole world is amazed and waiting to see how the Jews will react at that moment. Because since the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, the first place that every VIP that landed in Ben Gurion Airport was taken to was Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial. And basically what we said to every VIP that came was, look what happened to the Jews when they have no state. So you have to let us creating our own state, so that will not happen again. Mm-hmm. And here it happens again. We got our own state, the strongest army in the region, and the pure evil that the world did not see since the Nazis during World War II rise and shine again right on our borders. And the whole humanity understand, whether they know it or not, that the mission of the Jewish nation is not only to bring goodness to the world, the light of goodness to the world. It's also to fight the evil, to fight Amalek. And this is the pure evil. You cannot get it wrong. Nothing can be worse than that evil. That evil that came out from that specific society that grew on our border in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip. And the fact that we did not wipe out this whole evil immediately. When you have an enemy that you have to and you have to win the war. So in a war like that, you act like in the war. You don't start negotiate with evilness. You open your gates for everybody who wants to leave, and those who are not paying the price. Those who wish to fight pay the price, and responsible to whatever happens. Only they are the responsible. Once we did not act like that immediately, we left room for that evilness in the world to exist, and did not fulfill our mission. And it was clear to me at the 8th of October that very fast, because of that behavior of us, huge wave of anti-Semitism will rise all over the world.
Do you think you'll win in your next run for Prime Minister?
I think that there's no other way. I believe in God, and I don't see how Israel can win when the leadership is turning its back to our basic identity and basic mission in life. It's about time that we'll face who we are and not try to be somebody else.
And what do you say of the current leadership, albeit Bibi Netanyahu is at the helm during this difficult time of war?
How come Israel took over the Gaza Strip, the whole desert of Sinai, Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights in 6 days in 1967, and cannot win a war of the Gaza Strip in almost half a year? The answer is very simple. We don't want to win. We don't want to win. Because winning means that the whole Oslo process concepts that we took upon ourselves is gone. That we have to take over our land, hug our land, our promised land, flourish the land, take over the Temple Mount, be ourselves. The whole secular concepts of that thick layer of leaders. It's not only Bibi Netanyahu, okay? It's the Supreme Court. It's the same kind of fight that you have in your society in America, basically. The basic values that created America, or the new destructive values of progressivism.
You've brought up Oslo several times, and I know that there are many people here who believe that Oslo was a mistake. Take me back to that moment and why you believe that took Israel in a direction that it should not have gone into.
Well, the Oslo agreements is what made me a public figure to begin with, because when the leftist government, the labor government that Rabin and Shimon Peres created in 1992 came to power, and the Oslo process started, which meant let's bring the PLO here, the Palestinian Liberation Organization here, and give them a so-called Palestinian state in our Holy Land, in Hebron, in Jerusalem, in Rachel Tomb, in all the biblical sites. Let's give it to them. The heart of the land, the heart of the biblical land, okay, We should give away. It carries our history, it carries our identity, and we're trying to get rid of it and give it to those murderers in order to run away from our identity and become Israelis instead of Jews. That was what was the Oslo process all about. And of course it brought only bloodshed and wars, no peace and no security. For sure not, okay? But that's what it was about. So every believer in Israel was against it. And I created then a movement called Zu Artzeinu. This is our land. And I brought the concept of civil disobedience to Israel. And on one day, on August 1995, I blocked the whole roads in Israel with hundreds of thousands of people. And I led that movement, which made me a public figure in Israel. 30 years passed since then, and we can only see how right we were and realize reality better than all these generals and politicians left and right that brought this process on us. And when I'm talking about reality, I'm talking about God. I always say that reality is the secular name of God. Okay? So if you connect it to God, you connect it to reality. At the end of the day, you connect it to reality. Okay? And you connect to history and you understand what's going on. But because the inner energies that brought this Oslo upon us was to create a new nation instead of Jews. Israelis, not on top of the Jewish identity, but Israelis instead of the Jewish nation, a new nation. Because of that was the real energy of that. They cannot stop it. It's about identity. It's not about peace. It's not about security. It's about the very core identity of the people of Israel. So this leadership today that lean on, that based on the concept of Oslo, cannot give up on it. So all they're trying to do since the 7th of October is go back to the 6th of October. Let's just fight Hamas and find a better terrorist to give him weapon to control the place and to somehow continue with the same concepts. Instead of facing the truth, this is our land. They should not be here. They were not here. They were not here when Mark Twain came here. 90% of them came after Zionism. They holding refugee tickets. 80% of them, or 90% of them, are holding in Gaza. They're holding refugee tickets from the UN, from the UN organizations, and basically admit that this is not their land. Less than 1 million then there, and the biggest wish is to leave, let them go. But forcing them to stay in order to create, the Americans and those forces in Israel, forcing them to stay against their will and create a Palestinian state only as a weapon against the Israeli, Jewish sovereignty on the land of Israel. It's a process that people don't understand, but it has nothing to do about peace and nothing to do about security. It's a spiritual process against the redemption of the people of Israel, the redemption of the entire humanity under the wings of God. This is what it is.